Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 6 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Joker Personality. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new series over on Anime King 2 of What If Godlike Naruto was sent to the Marvel Universe. And enjoy that, guys. And also, remember if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I indeed have 4 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, and Anime Prince, guys. Which I post what if on every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly, every single day for you guys to enjoy. So 4 what ifs a day, so stick around and check them out and enjoy, guys. And don't forget to turn on that bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado, what do you say we leap on into this new episode start? The intro, guys. So the last spot we left off, Ino was incredibly nervous. As she was nervous as hell as she looked towards the door waiting. It was her first session with Naruto. The door finally opened up as he came in as the guard shackled him down and told Ino that he would be outside. She nodded as she looked towards Naruto. He was smirking at her. As their session began, the first session was beyond enlightening, as Ino found herself captivated by his words. The way he explained, the way he spoke about situations, it got her to think about those words deeply, and think in a way that no one else had been able to make her think. A few days passed after the first session, as she went back for another with him. The more she taught, the more she started to understand his way of thinking, so she had to dive into his mind to understand what he was doing. 2 months passed after that. She had begun regular services with him, and not to mention she had elongated the sessions. While that was going on, Inoichi came to Minato as he wanted Naruto to be locked back up in the prison. However, Minato didn't understand why he wanted this. As he didn't explain, Minato told him that he would call. He began to see what is going on. With that, Ino had found herself on a date, as Tenten had set her up, but the guy was a complete jackass. As a waitress had helped her out and she had left there. The more time Ino spent with Naruto, the more she realized that Naruto was able to connect with her on an intellectual level that no one else could. That was the main reason why she had stopped hanging out with her friends. Talking to them was becoming extremely boring, as they didn't challenge her. Their mindset didn't make her go far in their talk. They were always about something meaningless and unimportant. She was invited to a party, a gathering. As she arrived there, sitting by herself, she was deep in thought about Naruto and how just that small amount of time he was able to restart her feelings back for him. Maybe this was the reason why her father didn't want her to go there. As Tenten came over and started to speak with her, Hino had enough though, as she told Tenten that clinging on to the boyfriend thing about Neji was not really doing anyone any favor, and no one really liked it, and she was becoming annoying. At first, Tenten thought that she was joking, but she soon realized that she was not, as the girls started to argue. Sakura got into it though, as she tried to calm Ino down, but Ino was not calming down. They had to pull Tenten to the back of the yard. As they started to talk, Ino was smiling the entire time as she told them would they like her to reveal some secrets, as she called Mainmad's name, and then Sasuke's when she was talking about Sakura. There was a secret there that none of them knew, and she also brought Mito into it as well. As the girls looked nervous, Sasuke wondered what the hell was that about. Minma wondering the same what they were talking about. Something was happening behind their backs and they did not know. Given the fact that Sakura was pregnant with Minma's child, and yet she looked rather guilty when Ino had said that, as Shikamaru and Choji had led her out of the party. Meanwhile, Ibiki had met up with the Hokage and Inoichi, as the Hokage found out that the reason why he wanted Naruto back in the prison was because his daughter was the one that was doing the service on Naruto. However, Ibiki told him that he couldn't allow this transfer back because, so far, Naruto has progressed immensely well. Farther than he would ever expect him to come at this time. That meant that Ino was definitely doing something good in there. So they couldn't afford to put him back there now because he might backslide. As Inoichi left, as he apologized once he did though. Minato thought that he apologized for wasting his time, however, it was a complete different reason. Along with Naruto, as he noticed Ino was getting more open, even flirting with him, as he was taking every chance to make sure that she became comfortable, that she started to fall for him. As the time was up for the session, she didn't even jot down any notes. She was just speaking with him, smiling and laughing, as she was really enjoying her time. As Naruto was brought back to his cell, he expected the cell door to lock, however it did not. He heard a thud as he turned to see the guard that was supposed to lock the door on the ground. And who was there was none other than Inoichi. Inoichi pulled out a kunai as Naruto raised the eyebrow in surprise. Well, this was unexpected. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, remember to go ahead and check out What If Godlike Naruto was sent to the Marvel Universe and enjoy that guys. And also don't forget to stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way over in Anime King 3 and Anime Prince guys. I hope you enjoy each and every one of them. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we just jump right into this new episode guys. Begin now guys. Inoichi stood there as he gripped onto the kunai tightly, a look of remorse on his face for what he was about to do. As he looked Naruto directly in the eyes, his stomach turned, seeing the nonchalant look on Naruto's face. It was daunting just gazing into those eyes. At this moment, he realized things that he's never really truly noticed before, such as the way his Naruto Anvu tattoo had peeled off, or the way Naruto's eyes never gave away any emotion. In his studies, he was able to tell a motive by someone by the dilation of their pupils. Feeling of happiness, affection, laughter would cause it to expand. Feeling of hatred, anger, or fear, it closes. Not his, though his eyes stay as a tiny pinpoint dots. Unfazed by anything, it was haunting to have those eyes gaze into yours. Inoichi Yamanaka, he said, a smile creeping onto his face. I must say, I'm surprised. Inoichi took a timid step forward. What do I owe this visit? Obviously, he knew what was happening. I came to kill you, Inoichi said. As Naruto tilted his head. Kill me? For what, he said. You know why. As Naruto raised the eyebrow like he did not. You're trying to use Ino somehow. I know it. Use her? Of course I'm trying to use her. Angering the man after he said that. She's my doctor after all. I'm trying to use her to get better, to make it out of this deranged, psychotic mind of mine, he said. Using those same words to mock the man. Inoichi just adjusted his grip on his kunai, hoping to end this quick. Inoichi, said Naruto with a chuckle, look, we both know that you can't beat me. Even without chakra, I can kill you. Inoichi did not listen as he started to circle the younger man like a lion that was about to pounce on his prey. Naruto sighed as Inoichi leaped into action as he charged Naruto with a roundhouse kick instead of going for the stab. However, Naruto gripped it tightly. Inoichi winced in pain as he slashed at Naruto's arm and jumped back. However, a knee slammed into his chin and threw him against the wall. As Naruto gripped his throat and pushed him up against the wall, as he also pinned his hand with a kunai. You really wanted to kill me, huh? Said Naruto, not showing any sign of effort for doing this to Inoichi. Inoichi, this was just a rather sad attempt on my life. Inoichi gurgled as he tried to rip Naruto's arm away from his throat so that he could breathe. Since you're probably gonna die here pretty soon, I'll give you a small amount of satisfaction to know that you're right. Dr. Yamanaka played quite the role in my escape, and she has been progressing quite nicely. In fact, I think this right here will be the final key. The last hill for her to climb before she devotes herself to me. Inoichi was seen absolute red at this point as he struggled harder and harder, trying to break free. Once she outused her usefulness in my escape, I will most likely allow her to live because of her services. But if she become a hindrance as yourself, she may just have to greet you in the afterlife. He said with a sinister grin. And since I'm such a nice guy, I'll send your wife there as well. For you guys to be one big happy family again. As he started to laugh as he heard keys being shoved into his door from the outside. He released his grip and jabbed Inoichi in the throat. Inoichi started to cough as he could not speak, however. He had the strength to grip the kunai as he pounced on Naruto. However, Naruto let himself be captured in that move. As Inoichi brought the kunai down, Inoichi, stop! He paused as he saw Ibiki and two other guards. He could not speak because of a jab to his throat, but he would not leave this place until he killed Naruto as he brought it down. However, a kunai was thrown right into his skull. As Naruto looked right in the eyes of the man that was leaking blood on his face, a very slight smile came on his face as he watched Inoichi's body slump and fell on top of him. This would definitely move things along. Time skip. Ino sat in her room. Her mind was anxious as she tried to sort her recent feelings out for Naruto. It was supposed to be a professional relationship between them, however, she felt so deeply connected to him. How deep was she in? As she did not know. What would be the repercussions of this turning into love? That was a real question at this point. What would her friends think? Well, her old friends. Mainly Mito and Menma. Or the village. What would happen to her for falling in love with a patient? She probably would be locked up in the same institution. Separated by the walls. No more sessions. No more contact with him. She couldn't take that. She wished it was simpler. She wished she could say that he was sane once again and just get him out. But that wasn't the case. If she declared him sane, he will possibly be moved back to the prison, and that would split them apart. Oftentimes she wished they could just go. Just get out of the village and be together. But what if her feelings were not returned? What if he did not love her the way she loved him? Then what would she do? So many questions and nowhere to get answers. There was a tap at her window next to her bed. She looked to see an envoy agent. As she sighed and looked back to her ceiling, the window slipped open as the envoy agent addressed her. Yamanaka-sama, he said. It is to my dearest regret I must inform you. Inoichi Yamanaka has been killed. As the man stood there, because Ino showed no emotion whatsoever. In fact, he wasn't even sure that she heard him. If you would like, I could escort you to the hospital. Your mother is there. It's fine, thank you, she said, dismissing the envoy. He lingered there for a few seconds before he shut the window and he left. Ino's gaze remained locked in her ceiling. No emotions shown whatsoever. These were the first signs of alexithymia. She didn't feel anything she was supposed to be sad about. News like that, if it was a few months ago, she would be completely heartbroken. However, now it felt like someone just told her that breakfast was going to be late. As she remained there for another hour before she threw her sandals on and made her way through the door. Time skip. Walking into her old childhood home, Ino was greeted by her mother and her friends comforting her. There was Kushina, Yoshino, Mito, Tsume, and others that Ino did not know. Her mother, being dramatic, balled up on the couch, a tissue pressed to her face. The others were whispering words of comfort that seemed to be doing nothing. She then spotted Ino. You, she cursed. As Ino stood there unfazed at the words that came from her mother's mouth. You, if you hadn't taken that stupid case, he would have still been here. Kari-chan, said Kushina, calm down, you're just upset. As they tried to hold the woman back. No, get off me, she said. Get your goddamn hands off me, she yelled to them. Mito stood as she let the silent Ino out through the door, so that they can defuse the situation. Ino stopped on the porch as she looked towards her mother's garden for a few seconds. Before Mito could say anything, the blonde started to walk down the pathway. Hesitant at first, but Mito slowly followed behind her. On her way out, Ino plucked a rose as she started to walk. As Mito followed behind her, trying to think of something to say, she was a few paces behind her. As she realized how long it must have been since they actually spoke. Of course she remembered the party a few days ago, but that was not a conversation. It was just drunken Ino starting mess, and they all understood. Chobi told Mito was still angry up to the point where she heard about Ino's father dying. She was angered by the heap of mess that took place between her and Sasuke. It wasn't something they were prepared to deal with, but after a long talk, they were able to sort through the issues and resolve the conflict. As she looked at the back of Ino's head, her hair was unkempt. It was not tied up in a ponytail as usual. As she looked in amazement how long Ino's hair was. Her hair aside, there was something different with her. She wasn't normal anymore. She was becoming a lot more quiet, a lot less social, and very condescending. Mito couldn't understand why that was. Maybe she just got out of a bad relationship, or maybe she was in one. When Mito finally zoned out of her own thinking, she realized they were at the Hokage's monument. As Ino just stood there looking at the village, with dead eyes. As Mito crept up beside her, there were words in her mind but her mouth refused to speak them. Words of encouragement and question for the scorning. However, her mouth would not say the words. Mito. As Mito was snapped from her trance when Ino spoke to her instead. Are you in love? Mito blinked at that. In her mind, it was obvious what this was about. Ino was probably still in love with Sasuke and she was jealous. That explained the party incident. But that alone. What could she say to make her feel better? What could she do? Yeah, Ino, she said. Yes. As Ino's eyes never shifted from the village. What does it feel like, she said. As Mito gazed over the village as well as she thought about it. It's wonderful, she said. Ino shook her head. What does it feel like, she said, putting emphasis on feel. Well, it feels like a warm in your heart that burn when you're not with that person, but it comforts when you are. Ino's hand came up and poked her chest. As she started to chuckle, as Mito watched her, as she started to laugh some more before, Mito saw a tear run down her face. When she finally calmed down, she had a smile on her face. As she turned her face to Mito, I'm in love, she said. Mito wasn't sure what to say since she still had a hunch that she was talking about Sasuke, but she couldn't accuse her of such a thing. As she started to laugh once again before she collapsed to her knees, Mito instantly moved to her side. Ino, what's wrong? That is a good thing. As Ino continued to cry, she shook her head. Is he, taken? Mito asked. Ino shook her head and Mito released her breath. That she didn't even know that she was holding. At least it was not Sasuke. Then, what's the problem? Ino stopped as she turned her gaze towards the village. Her eyes and cheeks puffy and red. Mito, tell me, what would you do if for whatever reason you could not be with Sasuke? She asked her with just desperation oozing from her words. Mito was as confused as she was, since she started to speak about this subject. If I couldn't be with Sasuke? As she thought it over, I would do just about anything I could. I would do anything to make sure that we could be together, she said after some thought. However, she had no idea the monster that she just released with a few simple truthful words. Ino's red puffy eyes looked at the village like it was going to be the last time that she saw it. Her heart was set in stone and the objective was now apparent. Time skip. Kushina sat next to Kari. As she was the last one there, it was 2 in the morning. But she refused to leave until Mito brought Ino back to speak with her mother. Kairi had eventually calmed down with her blame placement and realized how ridiculous her accusation was, and she was crying now because of it. She had just demonized her daughter for doing something she believed she could do. It wasn't Ino's fault, it was Inuichi's obsession with that man that caused this, and nothing else. Her heart throbbed as she thought about what she told and called her daughter, as she wanted so badly to apologize to her, as they've been waiting for 2 hours now. As Mito finally came in, a confused look on her face. Where is Ino? Said Kari. She went home, said Mito. Kari started to cry once again, as Kushina pulled her into a hug. As she tried to calm her once again. Mito, tell your father I will be staying here with Kari, please. She told the redhead who would not then left. 2 hours later, Mito walked into her and Sasuke's apartment. It was quiet, so she figured that he was asleep. As she kicked her shoes off and headed to take a shower. While in there, she thought about what she and Ino talked about. It wasn't a normal thing to discuss when someone had just lost their father. Why was she thinking about love when her father had just died? Why did she not even mention her father? Was she bottled it up? If so, she would have to fix that tomorrow. She would have to reason with Sakura and Tenten to help her, because they were still mad about the party. But they would understand when she told them the circumstances. Ino had been far too distant for far too long. Once she was finished, she dressed in a plain t-shirt and some shorts, as she climbed into bed with Sasuke. As soon as she did, he wrapped his arms around her. She smiled and leaned into him. Ino asked if there was anything that prevented her from being with Sasuke, and she told her she would do absolutely anything. That was a fact. That begged the question, though, who was Ino talking about? What would she have to do for this mystery man that she fell for? Mito prayed that it was nothing insane, but by the way that she was acting, she could guess that it was not something innocent Ino was talking about. What if it was something like deserting the village or killing someone who was trying to kill him? Maybe she fell for some civilian who got in some trouble. She would have to ask her tomorrow. Ask her friends. They would have to try to find out what was going on with her and help her through this difficult time. Time skip, a duffel bag over her shoulder. A hooded envoy agent behind her, Ino walked into asylum, telling the guards that she was having a midnight session with her patient. Seeing the envoy with her, the two went to retrieve the patient while she signed in. Her and the envoy went to the room. So, what are we doing here? The man said, apparently being quite familiar with her. Toshi, just help me with this one thing, please. Toshi looked at her curiously. He knew the patient that she came to see, and he knew what happened a few hours ago. If we're here to kill or harm him in any way, I will not participate, he said. Ino rolled her eyes. We're not. I just want to speak with him. Then why am I here? I just wanted a friend with me. Toshi sighed. Why do I have to be in full uniform? So that you look more intimidating, Toshi. She said like it was the most obvious thing ever. He was an envoy as well, and I'm just a recruit. I don't think he will be intimidated, said Toshi. Ino shook her head. Believe me, he will. As Ino heard the footsteps, she reached in her bag and pulled out some blue pills that was in a container. Here, she said as she handed one to Toshi. Before he could speak, she spoke. Put it in your mouth and bite down on it. It's a Yamanaka family recipe. It will allow you to go into his mindscape with me. That is what I plan to do. It will make you feel a bit woozy at first, but it will pass. With that being enough of an explanation, he lifted his mask and he slipped it in his mouth. The door opened as two guards brought Naruto in. He looked over to Ino with a smile as he saw her lips curl up into a smile as well. He then looked towards a blank-faced envoy behind her. When he sat down, they chained him up as the guards left the room. As they sat there in silence for a while, he was cut off as Ino raised a hand. He looked at her strangely before the envoy started to wobble on his feet. As he raised his hand, leaned against a wall. However, he fell to the ground as he started to convulse. Hey, said Ino with a smile and watery eyes. Naruto smiled back. Hey, he said. I brought you something, she said. She reached in and pulled out a bottle with ink and a few papers and a brush. As Naruto smiled at her. For practice in your calligraphy and whatnot. Oh, yes, of course, he said. As he looked at her in amusement. What? Can't I do it? He grinned and held his wrist up, showing her the cuffs. She gave him a smile. She started to crawl across the table in a seductive way. In a quick motion, she pulled a kunai and drive it down, right between his hands, right in the chain link. Get yourself out, Mr. Anzu, she said. She lied down, right on the table. Not gonna make it easy for me, he asked with a smile. As he remembered their first conversation. Where's the fun in that, she said. As Naruto chuckled as he pulled the kunai out. He messed with the lock until it popped, and he was free. As he then took off his shirt. His body looked like he didn't miss a day of working out. Ino watched as he started a mark on the ceiling paper. You sure you know what you're doing? It's been a while, she said. I've seen these seals every day for 5 years. I know what I'm doing, he said. Guess you're lucky they did not put any on your back, huh? That, my dear, is a competence of these simple-minded fools. Like me, she asked as she flipped over to her back. Well, you're nothing like them, now are you, he said. You're slightly better. Slightly, she said. He leaned over as he was now looking directly on her face. Yes, slightly, he said. You're still stuck in this fantastic little mind of yours. As he tapped her on her forehead. If you can step out of that, you will be free. As he returned to working on the seal. Will you free me, she asked. As he looked over his writing before he turned his gaze towards her. Perhaps. Ino got up as she stripped Toshi of his underwear attire. When there was no more need for him, she performed a low-level fire technique she knew and burned the body. When she turned, Naruto was looking at her with a look that she never saw him look at her with before. What, she said. A look of amazement. She asked in an innocent tone, as the body was still behind her burning. Nothing, but I'm done, he said. As he slapped the paper to his chest and activated it. Ino watches the prison seal slowly start to break off his body, and it was sliding off like someone was pouring water down him. As Naruto breathed a wonderful sigh of relief. For the first time in so long, chakra filled his being. It was wonderful. As he held his hands out, his two Rasengan form in both hands. You, doctor, have done me a great service. The chakra died out in his palm as he walked towards her. Ino continued to smile as he came closer and closer. Before he came too close, she placed a fist on his chest. We're not done yet. As she patted the envoy uniform on the table. Ino watched with a hungry look in her eye as he got dressed. When he was fully dressed, he placed the mask on. "Let's get out of here," she said. Until he stopped her. "Just one more thing." As he created a clone, as he wrote a few seals on the clone chest, before he made him put the white clothes on. As Naruto used a much more fire technique to completely incinerate the body that was being burned. He then performed a wind and water technique to cool the room back down to normal temperature. From there, Ino and the envoy left the room. As the guards came in and escorted Naruto back to his room, they walked out without no question being asked. No one stopped them or looked at them whatsoever, not knowing that Naruto Namikaze was free. When they were outside the wall, Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. "Well, thank you for your help, Dr. Yamanaka. You, I must say, have been my favorite doctor." "Wait, what?" said Ino. "What are you talking about?" she said, stepping closer. "I am thanking you for your services up to this point." What does that mean? Does that mean you don't need me anymore?" "Precisely. Now you're getting it," he said. Ino couldn't breathe. No. "I helped you," she yelled. As Naruto shortened the distance between them within a second and pinned her to the tree. "No, what you did was try to warp my perception. You left me in a black hole of rage and confusion." "No, I love you," she said desperately. He smiled as he started to chuckle. "I love you, and you love me too." "Is that so?" he said, releasing her. As he started to laugh. "Yes, you do," she yelled. "You feel like no one has ever loved you before, so you won't accept my love because you believe it's not real." As Naruto came to a stop. "How wrong you are," he said, as he stepped towards her. "Love causes weakness when your so-called loved one is weaker than you. That is why there's a fling between us. It ends here," he said, as he reached and pulled a kunai from the holster on his leg. "What are you gonna do?" "You gonna kill me," she said. As Naruto launched a kunai, she did not even flinch as it hit the tree, right beside her. As he looked a bit impressed by that. No, he said. "I'm not gonna kill you. If you die, it's because you're weak and this little spat of ours would have been for nothing." As he reached and pulled the kunai from the tree. "Then what are you gonna do to me?" she asked, a hint of fear reaching in her voice. He looked deep in her eyes. "Well," he said, "follow me and you may see. You may back out of our little experiment. If you do so at any point, you may return back and they won't even notice that you're gone." As she followed him through the woods. "Never," she said. "Well, let's see about that," he said, as they walked for a long while until he came upon a secluded area. As Naruto pushed Chakra to the ground, a secret passageway started to open up. As he stood, "After you." Ino did not hesitate as she went right in. The torches on the wall lit themselves up, as she was able to see now. When they did, she knew exactly where they were. They were in one of the bases of Orochimaru. There were various tubes and beakers broken all over the place. It seems like this one is already disassembled. So what were they doing here? As they walked in deeper, as they came across a tube of black liquid over to the side. "You see that?" said Naruto as he pointed into the stuff. Ino was starting to get worried at this point. "That is what made me the man I am today. That is your trial. You bathe in this liquid, and I will accept this love of yours," he said. Ino looked into it and see that it was boiling. It was probably like acid at this point, and it would probably kill her. As she looked at him with a broken heart. "I know what you're trying to do. You want me to kill myself, so that you don't have to deal with me anymore." "No," he said. "I want you to prove your devotion. Prove your love to me. You know I'll die if I touch that. You're not an idiot, and neither am I." "So you're saying that you wouldn't die for me?" he asked, as their eyes were locked to one another's. He was daring her to do it. He really wanted her to die. It hurt her heart worse than if he had just taken that kunai and plunged it into her chest. After everything she'd done for him, she was nothing but a nuisance to him. She truly believed that she found a connection into someone. Clearly her assumption was misplaced, because he didn't seem to care about her. She fell for him twice and she got hurt both times. What did she expect? She slowly backpedaled until her feet was hanging over the edge. The bubbles splashed and hit her ankles, burned her a bit. If he didn't want her, then no one would. More accurately, if she couldn't have him, then she no longer wanted to live anymore. As she released herself and started to fall, in less than a second she thought back to most of her best moments in her life, and most of them involved Naruto. Even as she was a few milliseconds away from death, she couldn't help but love the red-headed psycho. So this was unconditional love. Death. As her hair went down into the chemical, however, Something gripped the front of her shirt. As she opened her eyes to see him, he saved her. Tears leaked from the corner of her eyes as she looked up towards those blue eyes. Now that, he chuckled. That's proof. As he pulled her up closer, his arms around her body as he locked his lips with hers. Ino melted into the passionate kiss. And she did not want this moment to end. A duo was born that will shake the world like a natural disaster. Time skip 3 hours later. Ibiki checked over the sign-in sheet. It was rather strange that Ino would come to visit Naruto so late, especially with the circumstances of Inuichi's death. So he went to check on the redhead to make sure that he was alive. Maybe she had done something to him. With a tray of breakfast in his hand, he opened the door. As Naruto was laying on his mat, not saying anything. "Hey Naruto," he said. "I just came to check on you." He still did not respond. Ibiki ignored that as he placed the tray down. "I know Ino came to see you last night. Was there any reason for that?" "No reason, just to talk," he said, with a smile. Ibiki was surprised by that. It was weird of course, but Naruto was always weird, so he paid that no mind. It was then that he looked towards his shirt. Ibiki's eyes widened as he looked up towards Naruto's face, a mocking smirk looking right back at him. As he knew right there and then this was not Naruto Namikaze. The ceiling on his body was smudged, meaning that it was written with paper ink, not body ink. He stabbed him with a kunai. For a second nothing happened and he thought that he was hallucinating and just stabbed a patient. But then the body disappeared in a poof of blood and smoke. God damn it! Naruto Namikaze was not here. Ibiki ran as fast as he could. This was not good. This was far from good as he headed towards Hokage's office. No one would be ready for what was coming. No one. Time skip. 1 year later. A house in the middle of a forest surrounding Kumo was in an uproar of panic as the two remaining occupants ran for their life. One was a brown-haired man, the cut run down inside his face, leaking fresh blood. The other was an elderly woman that was struggling up the stairs. They were both covered in blood. That wasn't all theirs. The brown-haired man pushed the elderly woman to make her move faster. As he came across the hall closet, he pushed her inside and locked the door. As they both scrambled to the back wall, the man held the woman's mouth to stop her whimpering. In the distance, they heard the screaming of someone, screaming for their life. It was a man. As his cries incite more and more tears from them, the screaming didn't stop, and they both knew exactly why. Now the only sound was the footsteps, treading up the stairs. With every step there was an extra 2 thuds that he could not place. Whoever it was finally reached the top step. As they came to a stop, the house fell deadly silence for a few seconds until the assailants started to walk once again. This time they heard something being dragged across the floor. It sounded sharp and metal. 2 doors away from the closet they were in, the door was kicked open roughly. When the person saw no one in there, they went to the next door. As they kicked it in, another, no one. Due to the shadow of the closet, the opens in the brackets, the man could see the person. It was clearly a female. As he saw the curves of the body, she was dressed in a white shirt with a red jacket, short black shorts that did not reach beneath her mid-thigh. The whole outfit was drenched in blood. In her hands were 2 blades, held in reverse grip, their tips touching the ground. That was the dragging that he heard. As the girl went to open the doorknob, however, the man held onto the woman's mouth, hoping to some divine deity out there that they survived this. Suddenly there was a crashing sound in the room next to theirs. The girl released the doorknob. As she turned her head, the man got a view of her hair. The bottom was blood red, and going up it was blonde. She walked away to investigate what it was as the man breathed a sigh of relief as quietly as possible. He loosened his grip on the old lady as he whispered, "Stay quiet," as he crawled slowly towards the door. She already partially opened the door, so he just pushed it open a tiny bit more. It creaked ever so slightly as he cursed in his mind. Peeping out, he couldn't see her anywhere, and he couldn't hear her. Seeing a chance, the window near the hall was open up. He turned back to the old woman. "Okay, the window at the hall is open. If we can make it, we can run for it." The woman didn't like the idea. We have to. If we stay here, we will die," he told her. She bit her lip as she mentally judged her odds. Figuring that there was no other choice, they started to move until those whistling sounds came from the hall. He pulled the old woman back as he saw the girl drenched in blood, swinging one of her swords around. She was just about to pass by, but the old woman could no longer hold her breath as she exhaled. The girl then suddenly stopped. The brown-haired man clamped his hand over her mouth once more. The girl walked back as she stood in front of the door once again. This time he knew they were found out as he reached. The only thing that he could find was an old umbrella. As he held it, shaking in his hands. The door swung open as he drove it forward, however it was knocked to the side. He was pinned right through the chest into the wall. Staring up at her, he was horrified by the mask that she wore. It was a traditional Japanese porcelain mask, complete with the small lips, the tiny eye holes, and the small nose. The mouth of the mask was smuttered in red lipstick, and the eyes were carelessly smuttered in red eyeshadow. Beneath her right eye was a jagged line, along with the word rotten. "I found her, love," she said, with a happy tone. As they heard another footsteps, she turned her head. "Don't worry, Granny. My honey just want to talk to you." The brown-haired man tried to pull the sword from his chest, but she twisted even more as he screamed some more. Then they were greeted to another mass assailant. Blood-red shirt, black pants tucked into sandals. As he was wearing a red jacket that he left unzipped. The jacket and pants had many pockets on them, as he also had an empty sword sheath on his back. His mask was a plain, expressionless white mask that cut off at his hairline. The design of the mask was very jagged and painted on smile that went from cheek to cheek. The eye holes were barely visible because there was black eyeshadow that covered them. His blood-red hair was slicked back. A strand or two came over the white mask. Well, well. Miss Kibi, former secretary to the Raikage, the old lady did her best to sink into the wall behind her. "Don't be afraid. I just want to talk to you. My name is not important right now, as I am nothing more than an idea." What do you want?" the brown-haired man yelled. The masked man looked over towards him in curiosity, before he looked back to his assailant. "Why is he still alive?" "Sorry, honey. Thought you want to use him as leverage." She ripped the sword off his chest and slit it across his throat. The man gargled as he collapsed, as she flicked the blood off before she placed it in a sheet on the masked man's back. The old woman cried out. Hey, he said, "calm down," as he stroked her cheek. "There's no need for that. Just answer my questions and we'll be alright. Now, about the Raikage." Time skip. Hidden leaf. Hokage's office. Sitting in his office, the fifth Hokage, Minma Namikaze, looked over the recent reports that he received on the mass assailants. It was a cry for help from a second village, this one unexpected. 2 months ago he received a distress message from the Hidden Sand village, Kasakage, Gar, about 2 masked individuals that massacred one of his former associate homes, searching for information regarding himself. It was just a heads up for the Hokage, making sure that all of his assailants were heads up. Someone was gathering information on Kages. Now he received a letter. The same situation happened at the mist from the new Mizukage Kojo, here being a neutral nation of Konoha. It was an unexpected warning. Apparently one of the mass witness. He left him alive so that he could relay a message to him. It was cryptic and threatening at the same time. This whole thing was a big headache, especially for one who has been in the office for only 4 months now. As of now, the issue was not that great since the only people out of the village that was connected to him right now was Mito and Sasuke. They embarked on their honeymoon a few weeks ago to Spring Country, but they could pretty much hang at anyone they came across. They were of course told to look out for Naruto even on this time. They will be held to pay if another village found out that a lunatic brother of the Hokage was out causing trouble. To Menman's knowledge, he hasn't done anything yet. He was spotted a few times in some of the minor villages with Ino of all people, but they could never pinpoint their location. It also was not known if Ino was an accomplice or merely a victim in all of this. While his father was in office, he sent multiple search out for the two. Only a few came across them, but none were able to catch them. Without Jiraiya's spinach work, finding anyone became a much more difficult task for Konoha. Naruto being a former Anvu, as he was able to hide himself a lot better than most. He was starting to understand his father's warning to him when he took office. He told him that this job was not just about being the strongest or merely making tough decisions. It was a hefty task of not only balancing the problems inside or outside the village, but your own personal life as well. Naruto escaped influence both of those tasks negatively. His disappearance led to many of the council members calling for his head. Even many from their friend group believing that he kidnapped Ino. Even Sakura, to Menma's disappointment. He understood that he was her best friend, but Naruto was his brother. and he expected her to at least understand how he felt regarding this. Ino was his friend as well, so he got her point of view, but that did not change things. As a father, Hokage, and husband, Minma had a lot on his plate. Hopefully in time everything would work itself out. He was even thinking about going to his father with help for the whole mass assailant thing. Not that he couldn't handle it. He was planning on relaying to Ever Jonin, or higher up, to be on the lookout for two individuals. Either capture or kill. He wasn't sure how good that would be, because the description was so vague. Just mass assailants. He wasn't aware of their affiliation with anything, their abilities, or even gender. He just had to wait for now. If Kumo or the Hidden Stone reach out, then he would have to go into more details plan. There was a knock on his door. "Come in," he said. Stalker came in with a baby carrier on her right arm, and a diaper bag on her left shoulder. Minma smiled as he walked over and gave her a kiss, as he took the sweet baby out of the carrier. "Hey there, Sumara-chan," he said, as he pinched her cheek. Sakura smiled. She's been missing her daddy all day, so I thought we would come for a visit. Minma smiled gratefully as he walked back to his seat, daughter in hand. "Well, I'm certainly glad that you did," he said, as he started to make baby noises to make her laugh. "Today has been nothing less than stressful, I'll tell you that." She set the carrier down next to his chair, and she set the diaper bag down as well. "I can tell. Have you eaten today?" she asked, as he chuckled bashfully. No. I kinda forgot." "You idiot," she said. "Wait here. I'll get you something to eat," as she made her way off. As Minma held Samara up. "Your mom is so mean, Samara-chan," he said. "I hope you're more like me," he mocked so she could hear. "Don't corrupt my daughter, you idiot," she called out casually as she shut the door. Minma chuckled as he placed his daughter down in the carrier and rocked it back in front, as he gave her her bottle. Few minutes later there was another knock. This time it was Kakashi. "Oh, Kakashi, what is it?" he said. Meh. Just stopping by to check on you," he said. "Just stopping by to check on you." As Minma's expression showed playful annoyance. "As for my father's request," he said. "Well, you can't blame me for worrying. There was a lot going on when he handed you that hat." Minma sighed as he looked down towards Samara. "I know. But I'm Hokage for a reason. He doesn't have to worry about me all the time." Kakashi shrugged. "I guess it's a parent thing." Minma smiled as he looked down towards his daughter, figuring that he would do the same thing. "Well, tell him thanks for checking up on me. But I'm fine." Kakashi smiled and nodded. "Well, while I'm here, anything you like to talk about?" "Well, yeah, actually," said Minma. "There could be a possible issue brewing that could affect us later down the road." "What threat level?" Kakashi asked. "I am not truly sure. The two masked individuals attack associates of the Kage, demanding information on them." "What do you mean by associates?" Minma went through several files. Former sensei of the Kazekage, and the previous Mizukage Mitarumi. "A former Kage?" Kakashi said in surprise. "Well, that means that they definitely have some kind of power. Both of them sound like they would have some knowledge on their Kage's personal life though. That's what I'm afraid of. Sasuke and Mito are out on their honeymoon, and you think they would dare attack them? They're both S-rank shinobis in the bingo books like Kakashi." "Yes, but if they were confident enough to attack a former Kage, I doubt they would shy away from that." "True," said Kakashi, "but maybe we can use that." As Minma knew what he was thinking, informed him of this. If they are able to get rid of these two masked individuals, we can stop the threat before it even brew. Minma thought it over. It was a sound plan, but he didn't want to give his sister and his new brother-in-law a mission during their honeymoon. But it was a matter of village security, so it seems like you will have to. It will be better to have them vigilant out there. If someone was planning to attack them, no matter how good of a shinobi you may be, you are still vulnerable to unplanned attacks. The key was to prepare for anything. "Yeah, okay. I'll send a carrier pigeon as soon as possible." Time skip. Wiping the blood off her mask, Ino strolled along Naruto's side. Once again his face was buried in a book. It's been a year since they left the village. Since the whole chemical thing. The test and all. And they went on a series of confusing missions. It was like Naruto planned out everything he wanted to do the moment he got out. Ino knew that it was criminal and mostly dark activities, but she didn't care. In fact, she was starting to enjoy the things that they did. They were bad, and they gave her this rush that she couldn't stop feeling this amazing feeling. Their first 2 months were spent traveling nations and digging up dirt on the Brewing Alliance. There seemed to be a few. The Hidden Stone was apparently in contact with Konoha about squashing their past and making some kind of talk of peace to join up with them in the sand. As Kiri was still remaining neutral, however, they were getting interested in the peace talk. Kumo was for the most part interested. It almost seemed like the world was nearing a peaceful time. They also dug up the dirt of the underground organization of each nations. Konoha had root, and they were in conflict with Kumo, Bolt, organization. It was all very interesting to Naruto. He and Ino had been planning their game plan from every step of the way. As of recent, they've been hunting down information on the Kages himself. For what Ino was not completely sure, but she knew it would be something. Currently, according to Naruto, they would need an army of their own before beginning their true goal. They were now traveling through the fields of the inner grass in search of something or someone. Ino slipped her mask back on as she looked over his shoulder. "What you reading?" she said. "Oh, it's an absolutely dreadful book about this man's ridiculous theory on where we go when we die." Ino placed her hand behind her back as he swayed her shoulders. "Why? What does he think?" "Well, he believes there's some sort of purgatory that we go to, where we receive judgment from Kami." Ino smiled under her mask. "You don't think that place exists?" "No. That is just a scare tactic to force people to act like civilized individuals." "So what happens when we die?" Ino asked. "We're just gone," said Naruto. "No purgatory, no afterlife, no heaven, no hell. There is just no existing." "So you don't believe in religion?" she asked. "No, religion is human race, playing their fear on top of the food chain. Aside from what people may believe, we are the superior species. Some could argue the tail beast, but they have been captured and contained for centuries. We're the most intelligent, and intelligent is power." "Well, how does that tie in?" said Ino. "Humanity fear power even though we all crave it. Therefore they create stories of a step higher, so that they can see that everything happened is for a reason in their eyes." Ino smiled. She grabbed his free hand in her own. "You sure have thought about this, haven't you?" As she leaned her head against his shoulder as they walked. As Naruto chuckled, "Well, when you're locked up for 5 years, it gives you some time to think." "I'm sorry I didn't get you it sooner," she said. Naruto waved her off. "Patience is a virtue. I would have waited another year if I had to." "Well, you didn't have to," she said, as she hopped onto his back. As Naruto caught his hands around her knees to hold her there. "And I'm grateful for that." As Ino moved the strands of hair, hovering over his mask. "Which is why I keep you around," he said. "Oh yeah, sure," she said. "It's not because you love me or anything like that," she said, in a playful tone. As he chuckled. "Dr. Yamanaka, you're too much," he said. Up ahead they saw a group of people. "Looks like we have company." As Naruto snorted and continued to walk undisturbed. As they got closer and closer, they saw a four-man squad, possibly a team and their Jonin sensei. Getting even closer, they could now see that they were from Konoha. The sensei was someone that neither of them knew personally. A fairly muscular man with dark brown hair. His 3 Jonin stood behind him in fear of the masked shinobis they were about to pass. As Naruto eyed Holds look towards the sensei, an attempt of maintaining his composure, the man gave him a nod. Naruto paused before he nodded back. As Ino looked over and smiled towards the children under her mask, as she tilted her head cutely, freaking them out because blood was on her mask and a few on her legs. The sensei and their student breathed a sigh of relief when they passed the two. As Naruto continued to walk, Ino looked back towards them. The sensei turned to check on his student as he saw her looking back. He pushed them in front of him as he started to walk behind them. As Ino simply chuckled. A few hours later, Naruto and Ino arrived at the outskirts of the grass. As they stepped into a bar, as they waited for a person. It took him a while, but he got here. A man with curly black hair and a scar running down his right eye. Naruto nudged Ino as she nodded as she took her mask off. Ino walked towards the man, a sway to her hips, a seductive smile on her face. "Hey barkeep," she said, "I would like a few shots." As she got the attention of the target, as she felt his eyes on her, the barkeep asked how much she wanted. She said 2. As the man took that as a way to start the conversation. "Hey," he said, "those both for you." She turned towards him with a smirk. "Of course they are," she said. "Girl's a little thirsty," she said as she downed one of them with no effort. "Well, in that case," he said, "let me buy you 2 more. As he pulled out his wallet, the barkeep poured 2 more glasses. "I'm Kai," he said. "Ino," she said as she shook his hand. As she smiled, knowing that she was successful in her tactics. From there, she proceeded to lay on her charms on him. The small chat made her want to slit her own throat. He wasn't exactly dumb, but he was not on her intellect level. For the next 3 to 4 hours, she did well in talking him up, as she used her knowledge of psychological play to get what she wanted. Somewhere along the way, they decided to leave the bar. Kai was unaware that someone was following them, that being Naruto. as Naruto was spot on picking his target. Apparently he was the leader of a large group of new ninjas and rogue samurais who really despised the major countries for various reasons. They were a nameless underground circuit who has been around for a few years now. However, they had yet to take any actions because of his fear of being found out. Knowing that information, Ino showed the man her headband and expressed her sincerity of joining. Kai at first was unsure about this, saying that they didn't first take anyone who wasn't marked as a mutant in the bingo book. That is when she revealed that she was one of the mass assailants that attacked the Kazekage Sensei and the previous Mizukage. As people were aware of that at the moment, Kai was shocked by that because those two individuals started to pop up on everyone's radar. He seemed to have a spy network, a lot more functional and complex than the one that Jareth the Sanin had in the past. Ino found it strange that the only thing that held him back from causing true chaos to the world was his own cowardness. More important, she knew more about what Naruto was trying to do. They needed an adequate army, and it seems like they found one. However, this army needs a new leader. The more Kai explained, the better it seemed to get. After he agreed that she could join, he explained the functions of the rankings and the members that they have. They work in a fairly organized manner with a higher class ninjas reporting information to him directly. There were over 200 members in the grass at the moment, at least 200 more undercover and stationed elsewhere. All of them with a deep hatred for one or the other major villages, as Ino continued to lay the charm on him until he finally took her towards the headquarters. On the way, Ino started to badger him about questions on himself, as he was sure that he was the most powerful shinobi amongst their ranks. He had to be to remain in power. Apparently, he was tested by a few high-ranking members before. Some of them Ino will recognize, the most notable being Sorcerer of the Sun. Kai had instilled fear amongst his ranks to gain control of his people, but he feared that he was losing it. The problem was the people wanted action, to know that this organization was going to do something soon. Kai was unsure of this, though his grandfather started this many years ago and passed it down to his father, and his father died in service, so his grandfather came and trained him ruthlessly. However, Kai didn't want to go against the major villages. He had no reason to. He was born and raised in the underground quarters since birth. You know, if you don't take action soon, your people won't respect you, said Ino, or someone may come around and take them away from you. Kai smiled bashfully. I don't know, he said. Maybe we'll start our own village. We got a lot of members. Ino shook her head, changing her purpose. We'll make them leave faster. As the man looked unsure as Ino pecked him on the cheek, as she was getting better into his mind. They say a strong woman can give a man strength that he didn't know that he even have. As Kai looked over with a grin, and what is it that you're proposing, Miss Ino? Tell your troops your idea. I'll be with you every step of the way. I don't know, he said timidly. I'll lose some of them. True, but the ones who stay are the ones that are truly there for you. She saw a look of realization came on his face, and she knew that she had him right there. As she smirked, as she could see Naruto plan playing out well, and with this amount of forces, it was only a matter of time before they make an actual big move. The world seemed like it was going to be calm right now, however, that is just not gonna happen. She was liking every step of the way of this, as the world would be thrown into chaos and destruction. That brought a smile to her face. But guys, be subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new series over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto went to the Marvel Universe. Godlike Naruto, guys. So go ahead and enjoy that. And also remember, if you're new, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post. Yes, I indeed have 4 channels, guys. Links will be down in the description. So go ahead and check them out and enjoy. But for now, I'm going to be jumping out of here. See you guys soon. Peace, guys.